Hello YouTube, I am back with another Darkest Dungeon modded class review. This time it's the Alraune, or the Alraune. So, quickly getting into the stats, we have 56 HP, which is really top tier for compared to the base classes. That's really good because this guy's a tank. 25 dodge is average, it's okay, dodge doesn't matter that much. 6 speed is below average, and usually isn't that this isn't that good. Especially with one of the abilities, you want to be going first. This is really not that good, but otherwise, like I'm kind of okay with 6 speed. It can be buffed. Like you have enough +1 speed trinkets, and then you get like 8. And that's pretty good. You have 8 crit, which is quite nice, and then you have a bunch of plus crit on your stuff. Like your ability here is +12, so you actually have quite nice crit. 7 to 14 damage is it's a little bit below average. It's quite actually close to the bottom, but you do blights on everything, so you can add up to that. That's okay. 100 stun is a bit above average. 90 blight is a bit below average. 120 bleed is 5% off of the flagellant levels of bleed resist, so that's amazing. 80 debuff is bottom. 100 move is slightly above average. 80 trap is the average, and you definitely don't want to be doing traps with this guy. You probably get someone else. And then you have 30 disease, which is average, and you move 1/1. So overall, what you kind of have is this is kind of similar to the flagellant, like with resistances. You have the really high bleed and not much else that's noteworthy. Uh, Having pretty high stun is quite nice because he likes to guard, and guarding doesn't work when you're stunned. So going into his abilities, you have strike. This is your pretty standard attack. You smack people in rows 1, 2, 3. Really high crit, so you have like 20 base crit, and the blight. This is really good. Just you're not gonna not want strike. Shunt is his AOE attack is slightly less accuracy than strike. Sorry, no, that's the same accuracy as strike. It's less damage, but it's spread over 3 targets, so it's actually more damage because you're doing minus 50%, but 3 times. But the thing is with this, you don't really want to be hitting the front 3 like ever. Like there's not if the back rows are alive, why are you hitting the front? The only time I can ever think of that is if you have someone being guarded. If you have like a pelagic guardian in row 1 and he's guarding the purple fucking fish, whatever the hell they're called, in row 3, you could use this. And then you'd hit them both. And then the blight would be good because the pelagic guardian has high blight. That may be like a shambler when he hit both the tentacles and the shambler. This isn't that useful. The other problem is you have to be in row 2 or 3. This guy's really never in row 3, and row 2 isn't as desirable or as frequent as you might think with this guy. Petrify is back to minus stress, cure, and buff prot. Now this is that's a lot to unpack. Back 2 is what you're really using this for. You're not really using this to cure blight or bleed. I mean, I guess you could. You're not going to use it to cure bleed because like you have 120 bleed. And the real problem with this is if it makes you have to use shunt if you're in row 1. I'm expecting you to be in row 1 when you use this because otherwise you're not really going to be moving back. Strike is just objectively better than shunt in 90% of ways, so you don't want to be out of striking range. So this is okay, but this is good for this is a good combo move. Shelter is his guard, and what it does is you'll guard your Vestal, and your Vestal will get 10 stress healed, and the Alraune gets less stress received. So that way, when he's taking all these hits for people, and he might get a crit or two, he doesn't get as much stress. This is quite nice. This is a good way to stress heal. You just keep guarding people. Problem is if you don't want, like, if you have a highwayman with a riposte and he has high stress, you don't want to guard the goddamn highwayman because he doesn't get his riposte. And this guy doesn't have riposte. So this is quite good. I use it for stress heal more than guarding, honestly. His other stress healing, I'm going to skip this one, is Brace, which is like Cry Havoc, but it's just way better. Because it doesn't heal as much stress. But what it does is it buffs for minus crits received. Right now, it's minus 10, and it stacks for 2 rounds, so you get minus 20. Kwarma, the mod author, told me he's probably going to be lowering this. I suggested that I do it. I'm not gonna say, it's all me, bro. But I think this should be lowered, and I think he's on board. So it might get lowered to around maybe 10 total, 12 total, 15 total. Because what this is doing is you're not getting critted, so you're actually like you're preventing further stress, which is quite nice. The worst thing that happened is when you're about like one turn away from finishing your stress heal, and some guy crits you, and then you're just ruining it all. So this is really good, not only stress heal but prevented stress preventer. This Brambles, this might also get nerfed a little bit. What this does is it'll buff somebody else for 35 prot and 100% damage reflection. I don't understand that. If you're giving them damage reflection, why would you give them prot? Like, you're really giving them 65% damage reflection, because when you take 35% less damage, you're not, I mean, you're still reflecting 100%, but you're just taking 35% less damage, so it's kind of fucking stupid. Just give them 65% damage reflection, and it's like the same damn deal. And then you buff yourself for 50% damage reflection. Now, this is sort of weird, in the sense that it doesn't go with the guard ability. Like, what the fuck would you use this? You don't use this on the guy you're guarding. So I guess if you, maybe if you have 2 Alraunes and use this on each other, like maybe, that would be kind of funny actually. I use this on my Exile sometimes when I'm going for a damage reflection build. If you saw that in my Exile gameplay video, you'll see that this definitely helped to help me kill some groupers in one shot on their own turn. But this is kind of a gimmick. I don't know if this is necessarily useful, but it can be quite good in some situations if you're going for damage reflection. Now, Timber is fucking broken. Timber is going to be nerfed because it's just so fucking good. What it does is it starts in row 4, and at rank 5 it hits all 4 people, but it scales up. So at beginning ranks you'll hit, I think, front 2, and then you hit front 3, and now it hits all 4. And you'll run forward, and then you have a 66% chance to guard every single ally. I have never not guarded somebody. This is like a guaranteed guard. It's one turn though is the problem. I guess problem. Like if you want to like really guard people, you're gonna want to use shelter, because that lasts for 3 turns. So you can use other actions. The problem with this is you also can't get back 3 realistically. So this isn't that great of a guard, but it's, holy shit, it's good at damage. He hit all 4 people for minus 15% damage, and somewhat decent crit too. This is a great opener move. The only problem I have with it is it's a move. There's a lot of moves like this where you can only use them realistically on one turn on a hallway fight. If I'm in a hallway fight, I'm not gonna timber and then like go back, like spend my turns going back using Petrify and then Petrify twice, or Petrify and then someone else move forward. Like if I have a Man at Arms using his stun. Like if I have so if I timber, I'm in row 1. Then I have a Man at Arms in row 2 who stuns, pushes himself forward. Then I could Petrify back and I'd be in row 4, but I could timber again. Like you could do that, but at the same time, like, is it really worth it in a lot of extended fights? I did this on I fought the Collector earlier. I think it was today, and I didn't have a lot of row 4 damage, so I actually did this. I built the party around just maximizing the amount of times I can use timber. I used an Exile, because what the Exile can do, which you should know if you see my video, is he can Tides of War, which lets him just, instead of moving forward or backward, he switches places with the dude. He has a 50% chance. So I had my party comp was Alraune in row 4, Exile in row 3, and then I actually had that Man at Arms in row 1. So when the Alraune goes forward into row 1, the Exile is in 4. So if he Tides of War, then he switches, and the Alraune's now in row 4, and he can do it again. If it fails, then the Man at Arms goes and pushes him forward, and then the Alraune can either Petrify, or the Exile can use Rally to push the Alraune back. So I kind of got some row 4 damage on my Collector there. There's no point of that story. So you can make it work with this by spamming Timber. Timber is going to get nerfed, like I said. It's going to do less damage. I don't know what, but it definitely needs to, because you're basically doing, what's that, 100 and too much fucking damage to 4 people. I'm not doing the math right now. But this is a really, really strong ability. You could honestly not run Timber, because it's not that great of a guard. and it does a lot of damage, but at the same time, like, yeah, you hit the front two enemies, but you don't want to hit the front two enemies at the same time. So you're really hitting rows 3 and 4. That's like the important part. You're gonna hit row 3 with great crit with strike. So I don't really care. I don't really run this all the time, but you could. This is definitely bad. Definitely good. Sorry. On to camping skills. Uproot is overpowered and needs to be nerfed. You get 3 speed for time cost 1. The Abomination gets 4 speed for time cost 3. This should be time cost 2. But right now, use this. 3 speed, definitely great. If you're using Timber, you want him going first. So this is great. So Reminisce is self-only stress minus 15, and everybody else gets minus 15% stress damage received for 4 battles. It's kind of the opposite of what the Jester's ability is. The Jester has all companions stress minus 15, and then the stress damage received. So this is just objectively worse, because it heals less people. It could be situationally better if the Alraune has more stress because he's guarding than other people. But like, you know, for time cost 3, this is still good, especially getting the all companions buff. That's quite nice. Growth is really good, but almost never gonna be used. Remove Bleeding Blight. If you want to do that, just do fucking first aid. Like, who cares? Heal 100% HP and plus healing received. If you're just doing this for the healing received, not worth it. Like, get a recovery charm. If you're running 3 trinkets, run a recovery charm. If you're running 2, just do it anyway. Like, that's still, like, fine. 100% HP. This is great if your Alraune just got dicked by a boss. Like, if you fought if you fought a shambler halfway through your dungeon, because you roll like that, and then your Alraune has 4 HP, and you need to heal him up, you could use Growth. But other than that, I would never use this. But like, you'll unlock it, but just make sure you equip it before you start camping. And Birdsong is actually quite nice. You have 3 50% checks to have everyone lose 10 stress. And it's the party. So it isn't like each individual person has their own roles. The party can lose 10, 20, 30, or 0. You're at least going to get 10. Like, statistically, you're going to get... So, I like this. If I have no other reliable stress heal for the party, I would do this. Because you're probably at least going to get, like, 10, if you're lucky, 20. So I would go with this. If I was going to run camping skills, I would just run these. If I need to use Growth, I'll use Growth. But that's not a big concern. And like I said, so Timber is kind of like the defining move here. So the thing is, when you're Timber, you move forward 3. So you're in row 1, which means you're not using Shunt. Because you're in row 2 or 3 for that. And you're in row 1 for Timber. That's also why Petrify isn't that great. Because if you Timber and then you Petrify, then you can use Shunt, I guess. But then you're in row 3. You can't do that in row 3. I guess you can Guard. I guess you can use these. You can't use Brace, and you can't use Timber. So the next move in row 3 is to either Petrify again, or it's to just like move back 1. So you can use Timber. Not like camping row 3. That's stupid. So therefore Shunt is really not that useful or that great. And if you're using Shunt, that means you're not running Timber. So I'd always have Strike. I would have Brace as well. Probably have these 3 at all times. I'd have Shelter and Brace. You could probably, if I had to pick one of these, I would pick Brace. Just because it is party-wide and gets that crits received, which is just fantastic. Guarding, if you're running Guard Party, I guess do that. If you could run Timber, and you could keep Timber only. Or you would, as you drop Timber, and you do this, and then I would run him in position 2. Like I said, you don't run him in 3. I wouldn't run him in 1. But like, this just seems kind of inferior to me to do this. I feel like going Timber and then not trying to play with Petrify and move skills is the way to go with this guy. Because he doesn't really need it. Like, honestly, I kind of prefer, like I said, I don't think Timber is as great as it sounds because you're only hitting rows 3 and 4, which are the high value targets. And you could just smack row 3. For trinketing the Alraune, I think what you really want to go, if you're going for a Timber build, you want to have speed. Because you kind of need this guy going first, otherwise there's no point to be doing the guard. Unless you don't give a shit about the guard, but even still, you want this guy hitting, you want to kill back row targets, which typically go first. quicker, and this is your best way to do damage to row 3 and 4. Best way to do damage to row 4, arguably not best way to do row 3. So you want speed, you want damage, you want accuracy. You could go prot as well. There's no like specific like, oh my god, you want this Alraune trinket. There's quite a he has nightmares in the same way that the shield breaker does, and he gets trinkets from there. One of them, the tools, is getting nerfed. He's Kwarma tells me he's getting rid of the armor piercing on them. There was a Google Doc on the mod page if you want to look through the trinkets. I don't have all of them because I haven't played this guy that enough. This one right here, bad. Don't want -4 speed. I don't care what the rest of it is. This one, quite nice. Virtue chance, I don't really care because I don't want to play on high stress. Stress received, bad. Scouting chance is okay. You can get better scouting chance, but if you're trying to virtue scum, this is great. This one's actually quite nice. Stress healing, not as good, but 4 speed and 30 blight chance, I would use this. This is like really quite good. And it's like a character one, so it's not as broken as some like other bullshit that gives you like 7 speed with no drawbacks. Dun da da. So, like I've said, this is really surprisingly a good class. Really surprising to me. Because it's not very well known. I'm not seeing people like Alraune best class. So considering how good this is, I'm like really happy. I'd say support Kwarma, the mod author. He still cares about this, even though he's not doing that much. It has a pet. This has a pet too. Other side note, my pet's mod's broken, so I can't even tell you how good it is. But I'll get out some gameplay of this soon. With the main 2 ways, like a timber play and then a non-timber play, which is how I like to run them usually. And I'll get out with some other class guides soon. So I'll see you guys around.